Hey guys, Scott here. Welcome to Silva Linings Playbook. NFL Week 5 is underway. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, welcome to Week 5. I'm downstairs. I'm getting ready to watch some football today. I've got the Red Zone channel on, ready to go. I've got my fantasy football teams up. I'm watching the early game in London because I got a couple of guys on the Browns. I've got Justin Jefferson and I've got Quinshon Judkins for the Browns playing for me. So I'm up early just to check that out. So far, so good at halftime. It's the Browns 10 and the Vikings 7. Dillon Gabriel experience has begun, as I predicted last week. I don't know, Joe Flacco's not lighting up the scoreboard. Maybe it's time to start thinking, where's the spot to fit Dillon Gabriel in? Especially if they don't win this week, the Browns, I think it's time to start looking to their rookie quarterbacks. And that's what happened. Kevin Stefanski and his staff earlier this week decided the same thing. Why not get these guys going? That defense in Cleveland is solid, maybe the best in the league. It would be a shame to waste all those great defensive players if the offense is not putting up points. So Dillon Gabriel, he's got experience. I mean, he played 6 years in college. I think he's the second leading passer all time. I mean, playing 63 games in college, that's pretty good experience. He played it at a really high level and 3 really good teams over his career. So I expect him to be fine, and this moment's not going to be too big for him. So far, he's thrown a touchdown pass to Harold Fannin, which I would now, from a fantasy perspective, I'm going to keep an eye even more so on Harold Fannin because those two are both rookies. They probably had a lot of practice time and have good timing worked out between each other. So I'm keeping an eye on Harold Fannin today to see how he does because getting a good tight end is a really good thing. But Week 5 gets underway. The London game is going in Week 5. I am looking forward to maybe not have a huge injury. The theme of the season seems to be injuries thus far. Last week, Malik Neighbors and Tyreek Hill went down. Jaden Daniels makes his way back to Washington this week when they definitely need him. They have not looked the same without him. The Commanders will be a better team with Jaden Daniels than without him. For their sake, I'm hoping he's over his knee injury. Terry McLaurin, after signing his huge contract in the summer, he's out again. So that's, another big star receiver down. It just seems all across the board. I'm not going to go through the list, but the list is long of how many star receivers. You already know there's 5 or 6 starting quarterbacks that have missed games thus far because of injury. Mac Jones just came in for Brock Purdy, who missed another game last week, as we already discussed. And now, as Jaden Daniels is coming back, Lamar Jackson is out today. So I feel for the fantasy owners who drafted Lamar Jackson because of all he can do with his arm and his legs. He's got a hamstring injury, so I'm not surprised he's not playing this week. He's probably not going to play next week either. I might even speculate that they keep him out till their bye and let that hamstring heal up because he's way too important. Their season's not going so well so far, as we've discussed before. So if they lose a game today, I don't know. I mean, Baltimore, to me, was one of the favorites, in my opinion, for potentially making it to the championship game and maybe making it to the Super Bowl, especially after the year they had last year. There's no reason to think that another year with the stars that they have on their team, they wouldn't be right back in it, but they're starting out super slow so far. And now Lamar Jackson is down. I'm definitely looking out for that Ravens game today to see how that goes. The Giants play again. Jackson Dart's going to get his second start today, this time without Malik Neighbors. They pulled out a big win against the Chargers last week, and Jackson Dart gave them the spark that they were looking for sure. I've looked more to their rookies with him and Cam Scatterbo taking over the offense a little more. It'll be interesting to see who emerges for the Giants as their number 1 wide receiver now without Malik Neighbors for the rest of the year. I mean, Wan'Dale Robinson has been the number 2, been a solid number 2, getting a lot of passes right up there with Malik Neighbors with the number of targets thrown in his direction. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe the Giants might be on the radar for looking to make a trade to get a receiver. Maybe Russell Wilson could be offered up to a team. Maybe get a receiver back in exchange for Russell Wilson and help out Jackson Dart. Because if the Giants can somehow pull out a win today, all the woes of the losing the first three go away, and now you think, oh, maybe we have a chance. But they have the Eagles coming up in week 6 on Thursday night, so let's pump the brakes on that. That's going to be a tough game either way, and without Malik Neighbors, it's going to be even tougher for the Giants. But today, they've got their hands full. Like I said, I'm just hoping to avoid any major injuries. Looking at this game that's already going on in London between the Vikings and the Browns, I also have Jordan Mason on my fantasy team, and I decided not to start him today because of all the injuries that the Vikings are suffering through with their offensive line, and in combination with the super tough Cleveland defense. I thought that was a bad mixture to put him in my starting lineup, and I put Judkins in instead. So far, that's working out. Mason already had a fumble, so that would have affected me negatively in my fantasy lineup. So I am glad that I decided not to start him just based on that, but we'll see how it goes. I'm hoping the Browns can stay ahead so they can keep running the ball and take the pressure off of Dillon Gabriel a little bit and let him hand the ball off and maybe do some short timing passes. So we'll see how the rest of that game goes. But injuries are what I'm looking out for today. I don't know if you're like me. Let me know in the comments. But if you're like me, if you watch these games, I'm watching to see how my players are performing in their individual games. And if there's any sort of injury or they look slow getting up in any of these games, I'm already looking to their backups and see how they're doing in preparation of having to replace them if they do go down with an injury. But I it takes some of the fun out of watching football when you're worried about the health of these guys. But fantasy football is supposed to be fun. It's definitely fun for me. I love it because you get to pay attention to all the teams and you get to learn about all the teams instead of just your favorite team. Like, I'm not just worried about the Patriots. I'm worried about all of these guys on my fantasy team and hoping they perform. And it's just a lot of fun things to do with your friends. So if you don't play fantasy football, why aren't you? Give it a shot. Go join a league. There's leagues. Play the daily, play weekly. You don't have to do it the full season. It is fun. It does make the game fun to watch. It gives you something to do, and have that in combination with the Red Zone channel where you're going back and forth and seeing all the scores. They're showing you all the action as the team's getting to the red zone, into the scoring range, and you'll see every score of every team of every game, every field goal, every interception, return for a touchdown, every passing touchdown, you name it. Red Zone channel's got it. I've been a long time NFL Sunday Ticket subscriber myself. I've been there since it was on satellite, on the USSB satellite, until now being on YouTube TV. It's a must if you're a football fan. Number one, it allows you to watch your favorite team, no matter where you are. I grew up in New York, so once that existed and I'm a Patriot fan, I would only get to see them when they play the Jets, or if they played the Giants, or if they played in a national TV game as a kid growing up. And now I get to see every game every week. So go get the NFL Sunday Ticket. Not that they're sponsoring this in any way, but if they would like to, that would be great. I think NFL Sunday Ticket's great, especially if you play fantasy football. NFL Sunday Ticket lets you track your fantasy team on your screen, and it syncs with your league, so you can watch your players and keep track of their stats alongside the game. So maybe give it a shot if you play fantasy football or you're just a football fan. Give NFL Sunday Ticket a shot. I'm not getting paid. I'm not sponsored by them. I just think it's fun to do, and you got it on YouTube TV now, so it could be on your phone, it could be on your computer, it could be on your TV. It's with you wherever you go. So if you have that family event you're going to today and you're like, damn, I'm going to miss my game. Well, pop it up on your phone when nobody's looking and check out your teams. But, spend time with your family too. I'll drop a link below if you want to check it out. I am looking forward to, like I said, the Ravens and Texans, both 1-3. Lamar Jackson's out. Half of the Baltimore defense seems to be out as well, if not more so. Like, that's going to be a tough game. If they go to 1-4, I think it might be time to see some of the younger guys play in Baltimore if they lose today. The Texans really need to win as well, so that's going to be an interesting game to watch. The Dolphins and Panthers are both 1-3. The Dolphins are heading up, although losing Tyreek Hill, it'll be interesting to see how Jalen Waddle does and the other wide receivers there step up and see what if they keep running the ball like they did against the Jets. I'm looking forward to that. Colts and the Raiders, it'll be interesting. Geno Smith is struggling. Ashton Jeanty started getting his running going. Brock Bowers is still banged up. Another star player being hampered by a knee injury. At the moment, he's looking like he's going to play. I'm keeping an eye on that for my fantasy team. I'd be interested to see the Colts don't have a letdown against the Raiders. The Giants and Saints, Giants 1-3, got their first win. Let's see if they can keep it going. The Saints played tough last week against the Bills, but still 0-4. Spencer Rattler still looking for his first victory as a starting quarterback in the league. The Cowboys and Jets, neither one of these teams is very good right now, although the Cowboys do have a win and a tie, which we talked about how NFL, it's time to get rid of the ties. It's just so unsatisfying for that, and it is going to mess up the playoff picture down the line if the Cowboys get their act together and become relevant. The Jets, Aaron Glenn really needs a win. They're at home today. And I have Justin Fields on my team. He's not starting for me in fantasy, but I'm hoping to see him have a big game today. Dallas's defense is not good. So if you have Jets players, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, they're tight ends, the Jets tight ends, it might be an interesting to put them in your lineup today because the Cowboys have given up so many points so far. I don't see why the Jets, who have been putting up points, just not winning the games. Their defense is the problem. Their offensive players for the Jets should do well in fantasy today. So it may be a good spot for the Jets to get their first win. Broncos and Eagles. Broncos played really well last week on Monday night. Bo Nix had his best game of his career so far. But the Eagles are 4-0, winning tough games. I don't expect the Eagles offense to do anything different than they've been doing. I am watching to see how A.J. Brown does. He had his, if you've been watching the news, A.J. Brown had a tweet that he was kind of alluding to his unhappiness in Philadelphia, and he just wants to help and get the ball. And, they should get him the ball. They should get him the ball because when they did get him the ball 2 weeks ago, they won that game, and the offense looked really good. So I look to see him getting a little more activity. If you have A.J. Brown on your fantasy team, today might be a day he does something. The Bucs and the Seahawks, both 3-1. That's going to be a good game. These are two good teams with tough defenses. Both teams are starting to get their offenses clicking. Bucs have Emeka Egbuka, who's emerging as the number one receiver with Mike Evans out with his injury, yet another injury. What I was talking about. He's my early season favorite for Rookie of the Year at this point. He's had a touchdown in every game so far. I have him in my starting fantasy lineup, so fingers crossed that he can continue that today. I mean, the Seahawks have been pretty tough on D, so hopefully Egbuka can get loose and get some yards together. We know Baker Mayfield is having himself a good year so far. I know Marcus was saying he might be an early season MVP candidate, and let's see if he can keep that going. Lions and Bengals. Lions are going up and are getting their acts together. All concerns I had about their coordinators and their team and how they would look have gone away. That first week was clearly an anomaly. The Bengals 2-2. They won 2 tough games at the beginning in the last 2 weeks without Joe Burrow. Another injury. Jake Browning has covered for Joe Burrow in past seasons and done well. It's why Cincinnati didn't go out looking for a quarterback when they knew Joe Burrow's going to be out till late December. But if they don't start winning some games, I don't think if I'm Joe Burrow, you come back. There's no reason to come back. You're not making the playoffs. Why hurt yourself? Just rest up, stay in there for next season. Maybe there's we got a bunch of wide receivers in Cincinnati. Maybe there's a trade with the Giants. Maybe Russell Wilson or look down to Atlanta for Cincinnati. Maybe see if they can shake Kirk Cousins loose. Cincinnati's got really good offensive weapons. It would be a shame with all that money they poured into all these guys to not make the playoffs. That would be a tough pill to swallow, in my opinion. So I think this is a make or break week for Cincinnati. If they don't perform well on offense, I think you might have to start looking for some trade options to try to save this season before you get too many losses and the playoffs are just out of reach. Watching out for Jaden Daniels in the game with Washington and the Chargers. Washington's already had big injuries. They've lost Eckler for this season. McLaurin's been out for a couple of weeks. Jaden Daniels missed 2 games. He's back today. It'll be interesting to see how their running back situation shakes out and if they can get Deebo Samuel going on offense, who's been a stud so far this year. Chargers, tough loss to the Giants. It was a close one. The Giants defense really gave them a lot of trouble. I don't think Washington's defense so far has been as tough as the Giants defense was showing last week. So maybe Justin Herbert gets back on track. They're also lost Najee Harris for the year with another injury. Again, injuries are the story of the season for me so far. They also lost Joe Alt, their offensive lineman. He got a high ankle sprain. He's not going to be there today. So they were still able to run the ball even after Alt got hurt last week against the Giants. And the game later tonight, the Patriots and the Bills. The Bills are 4-0. The Patriots are 2-2. Realistically, I'm a little worried about the Patriots winning this game tonight. The way New England is doing this running back by committee, it's not working so far. They've had a lot of fumbling problems with Ramondre Stevenson and Gibson, and even Drake May had some fumbles that he lost. I would like to see Trayvon Henderson get going and one of these guys emerge as a number one, but last week it didn't seem that the fumbles from Gibson and Stevenson affected their carries too much. Mike Vrabel's not holding it against them, but I'm a little concerned because we can't keep turning over the ball. And the defense has been on the field too much. And against Buffalo, if they have to be on the field, Josh Allen's going to eventually pick them apart. And their offense is going, they've, knock on wood for them, they've not really had any huge injuries at this point, Buffalo. So that's probably leading to why teams like them and the Eagles are doing so well. Their teams are relatively healthy as much as you can be. And then the Monday night game between the 3-1 Jaguars and the Chiefs, who are now at 2-2 and definitely starting to figure it out and getting pieces back. They've already been hit by injuries early in the season. Rashid Rice is on the horizon for return from his suspension. Worthy was back last week and gave them everything they were looking for. He had only played one series in the first game of the year and was out after separating his shoulders. So he's back. The Jaguars, they're looking good. They're figuring it out. Trevor Lawrence is still just kind of okay. He's not really lighting it up. I'm looking for Brian Thomas to get off the schneid and start being that stud receiver that he showed in his rookie year. It'd be interesting if they get the ball in his direction a little more. They're running the ball well with ETN. So that's going to be an interesting game on Monday night with both of those teams playing relatively well and the Chiefs definitely on the rise. So that's my look ahead to week 5 so far. I'm interested to hear your takes. And for you guys who play fantasy football, what's your strategy during the week when you're watching these games? Do you watch the Red Zone channel like I do? Do you have your computers up and watching the screens and looking for any hint of someone's injured or someone's emerging? Like, what's your strategy? Give me a comment below. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. That's it for now. I'm going to go back to watching the Vikings and Browns and get ready for the rest of the games. Enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy your football Sunday. Enjoy your fantasy football. Hopefully your team comes out healthy and you get a win. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.